Buddha is science, Buddha is the universe. To claim that Buddha is science, Buddha is the universe, Buddha is all that exists around us might seem radical, yet it is a profound truth that arises from the depths of Buddhist wisdom. This statement is not merely a poetic metaphor but a reflection of the profound understanding that Buddhism offers, a view of reality that transcends the conventional boundaries of religion, philosophy, and science. In the traditional understanding, Buddhism is often seen as a religion, a path that leads individuals toward inner peace, the renunciation of worldly desires, and ultimately, the liberation of all beings from suffering. However, to view Buddhism solely as a religion is to miss the depth and breadth of its teachings. Buddhism is a comprehensive system of thought that encompasses philosophy, psychology, ethics, and a form of science that delves into the nature of consciousness and reality itself. Buddhism as a form of science. In the modern world, science is often viewed as the ultimate arbiter of truth, a method of inquiry that allows us to understand the natural world through observation, experimentation, and rational analysis. While Buddhism might not conform to the empirical methodologies of modern science, it offers a different kind of scientific inquiry, one that is introspective, experiential, and deeply rooted in the exploration of the mind. Buddhist practice, particularly meditation, can be seen as a form of scientific investigation. Through disciplined observation of the mind, practitioners uncover truths about the nature of existence, much like how a scientist uncovers the laws of nature through experimentation. The Buddha himself is often described as a kind of scientist of the mind, one who discovered the laws of karma, dependent origination, and the nature of suffering through his own meditative practice. Furthermore, many of the insights discovered by the Buddha over 2,500 years ago align remarkably well with modern scientific understandings, particularly in the fields of quantum physics, psychology, and neuroscience. For example, the Buddhist concept of anatta, non-self, resonates with modern theories of consciousness that challenge the notion of a permanent, unchanging self. Similarly, the Buddhist understanding of sunyata, emptiness, finds echoes in the quantum view of the universe as a vast, interconnected web of potentialities rather than solid, discrete objects. One of the most profound insights of Buddhism is the understanding that the universe is not merely a collection of physical objects existing in space and time but a manifestation of consciousness itself. This view is articulated in various Buddhist traditions, most notably in the Yogacara or mind-only school, which posits that all phenomena are manifestations of mind or consciousness. This idea is not merely theoretical but has profound implications for how we understand reality and our place within it. In the Yogacara view, the external world is not independent of the mind, rather, it is a projection of consciousness. This does not mean that the world is an illusion in the simplistic sense, but that our experience of the world is inseparable from the mind that perceives it. This understanding aligns with modern interpretations of quantum mechanics, where the observer plays a crucial role in shaping reality. In both cases, the distinction between the observer and the observed begins to dissolve, leading to a view of the universe as a unified field of consciousness. Explore the 5 eyes of Buddhism: the physical eye, the divine eye, the eye of wisdom, the Dharma eye, and the Buddha eye, as stages in the evolution of consciousness and perception. Each of these eyes represents a different way of seeing the world, from the ordinary perception of material objects to the profound vision of reality as it truly is. In doing so, we will draw connections between Buddhist teachings and various philosophical traditions, both Eastern and Western, as well as modern scientific theories. By integrating these perspectives, we aim to show that the wisdom of the Buddha is not only relevant but essential to understanding the nature of reality in the 21st century. This exploration will not only deepen our understanding of Buddhist philosophy but also offer practical insights into how we can cultivate these different ways of seeing in our own lives. By developing these eyes, we can transcend the limitations of ordinary perception and begin to see the world with the clarity, compassion, and wisdom of a Buddha. Chapter 1: The Limitations of Material Perception. The physical eye, our ordinary vision. The physical eye, known in Sanskrit as Rūpacakṣus, is the most basic and limited form of perception. It is the eye through which we see the material world, the world of forms, shapes, and colors that we navigate in our daily lives. This eye is bound by the constraints of physical reality, limited to perceiving only what exists within a narrow range of the electromagnetic spectrum. For most of us, this is the only way we experience the world, and it is easy to take this mode of perception for granted. However, Buddhist teachings remind us that the physical eye offers a limited and often misleading view of reality. The world we see with our physical eye is a world of appearances, a world shaped by our perceptions, beliefs, and desires. It is a world of illusions, where things appear to be solid, permanent, and independent, when in fact they are not. Philosophical background: the nature of perception, the limitations of material perception have been a central concern in philosophy for millennia. In Western philosophy, the nature of perception has been explored extensively, from Plato's allegory of the cave to Descartes' skepticism about the reliability of the senses. In Plato's allegory of the cave, prisoners are chained in a dark cave, forced to watch shadows projected on a wall. These shadows are all they know of reality. But they are mere reflections of the true forms that exist outside the cave. The journey out of the cave, into the light of the sun, represents the philosopher's ascent to knowledge and understanding. This allegory mirrors the Buddhist understanding that the world we see with our physical eye is a mere shadow of reality, an illusion that must be transcended to see things as they truly are. Descartes, in his Meditations, famously questioned the reliability of the senses. He pointed out that our senses often deceive us, leading us to believe in things that are not true. This skepticism led Descartes to his famous conclusion, cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am, suggesting that the only thing we can be certain of is our own existence as thinking beings. While Descartes' solution to the problem of perception was to retreat into the certainty of thought, Buddhism offers a different path, one that involves transforming our perception through meditation and insight. Materialism and its discontents. The physical eye is closely tied to a materialistic worldview, a belief that reality consists solely of physical matter and that consciousness is merely a byproduct of material processes. This view has dominated Western thought for centuries, particularly since the advent of modern science. However, materialism, while useful in many contexts, has significant limitations. Materialism reduces reality to what can be measured, quantified, and observed with the physical eye. It dismisses or ignores the subjective experiences of consciousness, the inner life of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. This reductionist view can lead to a sense of alienation, where the richness of human experience is flattened into a series of mechanical processes. Buddhism challenges this materialistic worldview by asserting that the world we perceive with the physical eye is not the whole of reality. The material world is just one aspect of a much larger, more complex reality that includes mind, consciousness, and the subtle energies that shape our experience. The physical eye, while important, is only the beginning of our journey toward understanding the true nature of existence. The frog in the well, a metaphor for limited perception, a powerful metaphor used in Buddhist teachings to illustrate the limitations of the physical eye, is the story of the frog in the well. This story is found in various Asian cultures and conveys a profound message about the nature of perception and ignorance. The story goes that a frog lived in a deep well, where it was born and raised. The well was the entirety of its world, and the frog believed it to be vast and boundless. One day, a turtle from the sea visited the well and told the frog about the vast ocean, where the water was limitless and the sky stretched endlessly. The frog, however, could not comprehend this. It had never known anything beyond the well and could not imagine a world larger than its confined space. In this story, the frog represents the ordinary person, whose perception is limited by the physical eye, confined to the material world, much like the frog is confined to the well. The well symbolizes the narrow view of reality that most people have, limited, shallow, and constrained by ignorance, avidya. The ocean represents the vast, infinite reality that lies beyond the confines of ordinary perception, accessible only through the cultivation of higher forms of vision. Just as the frog cannot understand the ocean while confined to the well, we cannot comprehend the true nature of reality if we rely solely on the physical eye. To see the world as it truly is, we must transcend the limitations of material perception and cultivate the higher eyes of wisdom. Material vision and the cycle of samsara. In Buddhist philosophy, the world perceived through the physical eye is closely associated with samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth that is characterized by suffering, ignorance, and attachment. Samsara is often depicted as a wheel, endlessly turning, trapping beings in a cycle of dissatisfaction and delusion. The physical eye sees the world in terms of dualities, pleasure and pain, gain and loss, birth and death. It grasps onto forms, believing them to be permanent and real, when in fact they are transient and empty of inherent existence. This attachment to form and duality is the root of suffering in the Buddhist view. To break free from samsara, one must see beyond the illusions of the physical eye. This does not mean abandoning the material world or denying its existence, but rather understanding it in its true context, as a manifestation of deeper, more subtle realities. This understanding begins with the recognition that what we see with the physical eye is only a fraction of the truth, and that true liberation lies in transcending these limited perceptions. Chapter 2: The Evolution of Human Vision, the Biological Perspective, How the Human Eye Evolved. The human eye is often hailed as a marvel of biological evolution. Over millions of years, nature has refined the eye from simple light-sensitive cells to the complex organ we rely on today for navigating the world. The evolution of the eye is a testament to the intricate processes that have shaped life on Earth, and yet, even this extraordinary organ has its limitations. The eye, as we know it, is adapted for survival in the environment our ancestors inhabited. It is designed to detect light within a specific range of the electromagnetic spectrum, what we call visible light. This range, which extends from approximately 400 to 700 nanometers, allows us to see the colors of the rainbow, from violet to red. However, this is only a tiny fraction of the full electromagnetic spectrum, which includes ultraviolet light, infrared radiation, X-rays, and radio waves, among others. From a biological standpoint, the eye's primary function is to provide us with information about our surroundings that is crucial for survival. It helps us find food, avoid predators, and navigate complex environments. But this very specialization comes at a cost. The eye is attuned only to those aspects of reality that are immediately relevant to survival. Other forms of energy, which could reveal different dimensions of reality, are invisible to us. The structure of the human eye, with its lens, retina, and photoreceptor cells, rods and cones, is highly specialized for processing light. Rods are responsible for vision in low light conditions and are more sensitive to motion, while cones are responsible for color vision and work best in bright light. The retina, where these photoreceptors are located, converts light into electrical signals that are processed by the brain, allowing us to perceive images. While this system is incredibly efficient for its purpose, it is not without its flaws. For instance, the blind spot, where the optic nerve exits the eye, creates a gap in our field of vision that the brain automatically fills in. Moreover, our eyes are prone to various conditions, such as myopia, hyperopia, and cataracts, that can impair vision. Comparative vision, seeing the world through different eyes. To truly appreciate the limitations of the human eye, it is instructive to compare it with the eyes of other species. Different animals have evolved eyes that are suited to their unique environments, and in many cases, these eyes far surpass human vision in specific ways. The eagle's eye. Eagles are often cited as having the most powerful vision in the animal kingdom. Their eyes have a much higher density of photoreceptors than human eyes, allowing them to see with incredible clarity over long distances. An eagle can spot a rabbit moving in a field from several miles away, a feat that is beyond the capability of human vision. This is because eagles have large eyes relative to their body size, giving them a large visual field and high visual acuity. The owl's eye. Owls, on the other hand, are masters of night vision. Their eyes are adapted to see in very low light conditions, thanks to a high density of rod cells in the retina. Unlike human eyes, owl eyes are tubular rather than spherical, which allows them to gather more light. Additionally, their large corneas and pupils further enhance their ability to see in the dark. However, owls have limited color vision, which is not as developed as in humans. The mantis shrimp's eye, perhaps the most extraordinary example of vision in the animal kingdom, is that of the mantis shrimp. This small marine creature possesses some of the most complex eyes known to science. Mantis shrimp can see polarized light and have 12 to 16 types of photoreceptor cells, compared to the 3 types in humans, allowing them to detect a spectrum of colors far beyond human capability. They can also see ultraviolet light, which is invisible to us. The complexity of mantis shrimp vision is so advanced that scientists are still trying to fully understand how these creatures perceive the world. These examples illustrate that human vision, while remarkable, is just one way of perceiving the world. Other species have evolved eyes that can see things we cannot, revealing the vast diversity of ways in which life on Earth interacts with its environment. Each of these different visual systems offers a unique perspective on reality, reminding us that what we see with our eyes is only one version of the truth. Phenomenology and perception, the subjective nature of vision, the limitations of the physical eye extend beyond its biological constraints. They also involve the way we interpret and make sense of the visual information we receive. This is where phenomenology, a branch of philosophy that studies the structures of experience, becomes relevant. Phenomenologists like Edmund Husserl and Maurice Merleau-Ponty have explored how perception is not just a passive reception of data but an active process shaped by consciousness. Husserl's phenomenology. Edmund Husserl, the founder of phenomenology, emphasized that our perception of the world is always influenced by our prior experiences, intentions, and the context in which we perceive. He introduced the concept of the life world, Lebenswelt, which refers to the pre-reflective, lived experience of the world that forms the background for all our thoughts and perceptions. According to Husserl, the life world is not a world of objective facts but a world rich with meaning, shaped by our consciousness. In the context of the physical eye, this means that what we see is not just the objective reality out there, but a reality that is interpreted through the lens of our subjective experience. The way we perceive color, shape, and motion is influenced by our cultural background, language, emotions, and expectations. This subjectivity of perception aligns with Buddhist teachings, which assert that the world we see is a product of our mental formations, samskaras, and that true understanding requires us to go beyond these conditioned perceptions. Merleau-Ponty's embodied perception. Maurice Merleau-Ponty further developed the idea of perception as an embodied experience. He argued that perception is not just a mental process but is deeply rooted in our bodily existence. The way we see the world is influenced by our bodily movements, our position in space, and our interactions with the environment. For Merleau-Ponty, vision is not a detached, purely intellectual activity but a dynamic, lived experience that involves the whole body. This view resonates with the Buddhist emphasis on mindfulness and awareness of the body. In practices such as walking meditation or mindful breathing, the practitioner becomes acutely aware of the connection between the body and perception. The physical eye, then, is not just an organ of sight but a gateway to a deeper, embodied experience of the world, the illusion of reality. What we see is not what it is. One of the most profound insights offered by both Buddhism and phenomenology is the idea that the reality we perceive is an illusion, a construct of the mind rather than an objective truth. This concept is encapsulated in the Buddhist teaching of Maya, which refers to the illusory nature of the world. Maya in Hindu and Buddhist philosophy. The concept of Maya has its roots in Hindu philosophy, where it is described as the cosmic illusion that makes the one reality, Brahman, appear as the multiplicity of the world. In Buddhism, Maya is understood as the illusion that causes beings to perceive the world as inherently existent, permanent, and separate from themselves. This illusion is the root cause of suffering, as it leads to attachment, aversion, and ignorance. The illusion created by the physical eye is similar to the shadows in Plato's allegory of the cave. Just as the prisoners in the cave mistake shadows for reality, we mistake the forms we see with our eyes for the true nature of things. In reality, what we see is conditioned by our perceptions, which are in turn shaped by our desires, fears, and past experiences. The constructed nature of perception. modern psychology and neuroscience support the idea that our perception of reality is constructed by the brain. The brain does not simply passively receive sensory input, it actively interprets and constructs our experience of the world. For example, optical illusions reveal how the brain can be tricked into seeing things that are not there or interpreting visual information in ways that do not correspond to objective reality, the famous dress illusion. Where some people see a dress as blue and black while others see it as white and gold, is a striking example of how perception can vary dramatically between individuals. This variation in perception highlights the fact that what we see is not an absolute truth but a subjective interpretation. In Buddhism, this constructed nature of perception is understood as a manifestation of avidya, ignorance, which obscures our true understanding of reality. To see things as they truly are, we must go beyond the surface appearances perceived by the physical eye and develop a deeper, more refined vision. Physical eye and samsara, the wheel of illusion. The world perceived through the physical eye is not just an illusion. It is an illusion that traps us in the cycle of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth that is characterized by suffering. In Buddhist cosmology, samsara is depicted as a wheel, with beings endlessly revolving through different realms of existence based on their karma. The physical eye sees the world in terms of dualities, pleasure and pain, gain and loss, birth and death. It grasps onto forms, believing them to be real and permanent, when in fact they are transient and empty of inherent existence. This attachment to forms and dualities is the root of samsara. In the Buddhist view, liberation from samsara requires seeing through the illusions created by the physical eye. This does not mean rejecting the material world or denying its existence, but rather understanding it in its true context, as a manifestation of deeper, more subtle realities. The journey towards liberation begins with the recognition that what we see with our physical eye is only a fraction of the truth and that true freedom lies in transcending these limited perceptions. The role of meditation. Meditation is the primary tool in Buddhism for transcending the illusions of the physical eye. Through practices such as mindfulness, sati, and insight meditation, vipassana, practitioners learn to observe their perceptions without attachment, gradually uncovering the true nature of reality. Meditation allows us to see the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless nature of all phenomena, insights that are crucial for breaking free from samsara. From physical eye to divine eye, the cultivation of the physical eye through meditation and mindfulness is the first step in the journey towards awakening the higher eyes of wisdom. As we develop the ability to see through the illusions of the material world, we open the door to deeper, more profound forms of perception, ultimately leading to the awakening of the divine eye. Chapter 3, The Illusion of Reality, Constructing Reality. The brain as a sculptor of perception. The concept that reality is a construct of the mind has deep roots in both Eastern philosophy and modern neuroscience. The brain does not merely record sensory data like a camera, it interprets, organizes, and makes meaning of the data it receives, constructing the reality we experience. This constructed nature of perception is both a marvel of evolution and a source of profound illusion. The brain as an architect. The brain uses a variety of processes to construct the world we perceive. Sensory input from the eyes is processed by the visual cortex, where it is combined with information from other senses and with memories, expectations, and prior knowledge. This integration allows us to perceive a coherent, stable world, even though the raw data our senses receive is often incomplete, ambiguous, or rapidly changing. For example, the phenomenon of perceptual constancy allows us to see a car as the same size and shape whether it is close or far away, even though the image on our retina changes dramatically depending on its distance. The brain compensates for these changes by using its prior knowledge of the world to maintain a stable perception of objects. However, this same process of construction also means that what we perceive is not a direct representation of the external world but a version of it shaped by our brain's interpretative processes. This constructed reality is highly adaptive. It allows us to function effectively in the world, but it also means that our perception is subject to error, illusion, and manipulation. The role of expectation. Expectations play a crucial role in shaping perception. Our brains are constantly predicting what we will see based on past experiences and current context. These predictions influence what we actually perceive, sometimes to the extent that we see what we expect to see rather than what is actually there. This is why people can see different things in the same ambiguous image, or why our mood can affect how we perceive the world around us. In Buddhism, this concept of constructed reality aligns with the idea that our perceptions are conditioned by our karma, the accumulated effects of our past actions, thoughts, and experiences. Just as the brain constructs reality based on past experiences, our karmic conditioning shapes how we perceive and interact with the world. To see reality as it truly is, we must become aware of these conditionings and learn to see beyond them. Optical illusions and perceptual tricks. Optical illusions are a fascinating example of how the brain's construction of reality can be manipulated. These illusions exploit the brain's expectations and assumptions, leading us to see things that are not there or to misinterpret what we do see. For instance, the Muller-Lyer illusion, where two lines of the same length appear different due to the orientation of the arrowheads at their ends, reveals how context can dramatically alter our perception. Optical illusions are not just curiosities, they provide insight into the workings of the brain and the nature of perception. They show us that what we see is not a direct reflection of reality but a construction of the mind. In the same way, Buddhist teachings encourage us to see beyond the illusions of the physical eye and to question the reality we take for granted. The matrix of Maya, illusion and reality in Buddhism. The concept of Maya in Hindu and Buddhist philosophy offers a profound understanding of the illusory nature of the world perceived by the physical eye. Maya is often translated as illusion or magic, but it is more accurately understood as the power that makes the unreal appear real and the temporary seem permanent. Maya in the Upanishads. In the Upanishads, Maya is described as the divine illusion that causes the one, undivided reality, Brahman, to appear as the multiplicity of the world. It is the veil that obscures the true nature of reality, leading beings to believe in the reality of the physical world and the separate self. This illusion is not merely a deception, it is a necessary aspect of the divine play, Lila, that allows the universe to exist as a dynamic, evolving process. Maya in Buddhism. In Buddhism, Maya takes on a slightly different meaning. It is the illusion that causes beings to perceive the world as inherently existent, permanent, and separate from themselves. This illusion is the root of suffering, as it leads to attachment, aversion, and ignorance. The Buddha taught that the world we perceive with our physical eye is a projection of our mind, shaped by our desires, fears, and past karma. The illusion of Maya is not simply a philosophical concept, it is a lived experience that affects every aspect of our lives. We believe that the objects we see are real and solid, that the people we interact with are separate from us, and that our sense of self is permanent and unchanging. These beliefs are the source of our suffering, as they lead us to cling to what is impermanent and to resist the natural flow of change. The role of awareness. The path to liberation in Buddhism involves seeing through the illusion of Maya and realizing the true nature of reality. This requires developing awareness through practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and insight. Awareness allows us to observe our perceptions without getting caught up in them, to see the impermanence and interconnectedness of all things, and to understand that what we perceive as separate and solid is actually empty of inherent existence. Beyond Maya. While Maya creates the illusion of a separate, solid world, the ultimate reality in Buddhism is sunyata, emptiness. Sunyata does not mean that things do not exist, rather, it means that things do not exist in the way we perceive them. They are empty of inherent, independent existence and exist only in relation to other things. This understanding of emptiness is the key to seeing through the illusion of Maya and attaining liberation. Physical eye and samsara. The wheel of illusion. The world perceived through the physical eye is not just an illusion, it is an illusion that traps us in the cycle of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth that is characterized by suffering. In Buddhist cosmology, samsara is depicted as a wheel, with beings endlessly revolving through different realms of existence based on their karma. The physical eye sees the world in terms of dualities, pleasure and pain, gain and loss, birth and death. It grasps onto forms, believing them to be real and permanent, when in fact they are transient and empty of inherent existence. This attachment to forms and dualities is the root of samsara. In the Buddhist view, liberation from samsara requires seeing through the illusions created by the physical eye. This does not mean rejecting the material world or denying its existence, but rather understanding it in its true context, as a manifestation of deeper, more subtle realities. The journey towards liberation begins with the recognition that what we see with our physical eye is only a fraction of the truth, and that true freedom lies in transcending these limited perceptions. Meditation as a tool for liberation. Meditation is the primary tool in Buddhism for transcending the illusions of the physical eye. Through practices such as mindfulness, sati, and insight meditation, vipassana, practitioners learn to observe their perceptions without attachment, gradually uncovering the true nature of reality. Meditation allows us to see the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless nature of all phenomena, insights that are crucial for breaking free from samsara. From physical eye to divine eye, the cultivation of the physical eye through meditation and mindfulness is the first step in the journey towards awakening the higher eyes of wisdom. As we develop the ability to see through the illusions of the material world, we open the door to deeper, more profound forms of perception, ultimately leading to the awakening of the divine eye. Chapter 4. Beyond ordinary perception, the divine eye, expanding the boundaries of vision. The divine eye, or Divyacakṣus, represents a significant leap in the development of perception in Buddhism. It is the eye that perceives beyond the ordinary limitations of the physical world, allowing one to see realms of existence and aspects of reality that are hidden from the physical eye. This expanded vision is not just about seeing more, it is about perceiving the interconnectedness and the deeper truths that underlie the surface of existence. In Buddhist teachings, the divine eye is often associated with clairvoyance, the ability to see things that are distant in space and time, including past lives and future events. However, this ability is not seen as an end in itself but as a tool for deeper understanding and compassion. The divine eye allows practitioners to witness the workings of karma, the cycle of birth and rebirth, and the interrelatedness of all beings, thus deepening their commitment to the path of liberation for themselves and others. The third eye in various traditions, a universal concept. The concept of the divine eye in Buddhism shares similarities with the idea of the third eye, found in various spiritual traditions around the world. This third eye symbolizes a form of higher vision that goes beyond the physical, accessing spiritual realms and deeper truths. Hinduism and the Ajna chakra. In Hinduism, the third eye is often associated with the Ajna chakra, located at the forehead, which is believed to be the center of intuition and spiritual insight. Activation of this chakra is said to grant vision beyond the material world, leading to higher states of consciousness and understanding. Western esotericism and the pineal gland. In Western esoteric traditions, the third eye is frequently linked to the pineal gland, a small gland in the brain that has been associated with mystical and psychic experiences. Descartes referred to the pineal gland as the seat of the soul, reflecting its importance in bridging the physical and spiritual worlds. The universal symbolism of the third eye, across these traditions. The third eye symbolizes an awakening to a broader reality, a vision that perceives the unity and the spiritual dimensions of existence. The divine eye in Buddhism similarly represents a breakthrough in perception, one that moves beyond the material world to understand the spiritual forces that shape reality. The biological basis, the pineal gland and spiritual vision. The connection between the divine eye and the pineal gland provides an intriguing intersection between ancient spiritual traditions and modern science. While the third eye is a spiritual concept, the pineal gland may offer a biological counterpart that helps explain certain aspects of spiritual vision. The pineal gland's function. The pineal gland is a small endocrine gland located deep within the brain, responsible for producing melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep cycles. It is sensitive to light and plays a crucial role in synchronizing the body's internal clock with the natural day-night cycle. The pineal gland and spiritual experiences. some researchers and spiritual practitioners believe that the pineal gland is involved in producing substances like DMT, dimethyltryptamine, which are associated with profound spiritual experiences and altered states of consciousness. While this is still a topic of scientific debate, it suggests that the pineal gland might be connected to the ability to perceive realities beyond the ordinary, integrating science and spirituality. The idea that the pineal gland could be linked to spiritual vision bridges the gap between science and spirituality. It suggests that our capacity for higher perception, as symbolized by the divine eye, might have roots in our physical being, hinting at a deep connection between the body and the spirit. Chapter 5. The Divine Eye as a Bridge Between Worlds, Perceiving the Spiritual Realms. The expansive vision of the divine eye. The divine eye in Buddhism is more than just a tool for seeing beyond the physical world. It is a bridge between the material and spiritual realms. This eye allows practitioners to perceive the various planes of existence described in Buddhist cosmology, from the lower realms of suffering to the higher realms of the gods. Buddhist cosmology and the divine eye. According to Buddhist teachings, the universe is composed of multiple realms, each representing different states of consciousness and existence. These include the hell realms, where beings experience intense suffering, and the higher realms, such as the realms of the gods and the formless realms, where beings experience more refined states of bliss and consciousness. The divine eye enables practitioners to perceive these realms directly, seeing the vast interconnected web of existence that spans across these different planes. This expanded vision provides insight into the workings of karma and the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, helping practitioners to understand the impermanence and interdependence of all things. The importance of perceiving karma. One of the key functions of the divine eye is the ability to see karma in action. Karma, in Buddhism, refers to the law of cause and effect, where every action has consequences that shape future experiences. With the divine eye, a practitioner can see the karmic connections between actions and their results, both in their own life and in the lives of others. This ability to perceive karma helps practitioners to develop greater compassion and understanding, as they see how suffering and happiness are the results of past actions. It also encourages ethical behavior, as practitioners become more aware of the long-term consequences of their actions. Clairvoyance and the divine eye, seeing beyond the physical. The divine eye is often associated with clairvoyance, the ability to see things that are hidden from ordinary sight. This includes perceiving distant events, seeing into the past and future, and understanding the minds and experiences of others. The 6 abhijnas. In Buddhist tradition, clairvoyance is one of the 6 abhijnas or higher knowledges that can be developed through deep meditation and spiritual practice. These higher knowledges include the ability to see past lives, understand the thoughts of others, and perform miraculous feats. The divine eye is particularly associated with the ability to see the destinies of beings, understanding how their actions shape their future rebirths. Using clairvoyance wisely. While the ability to see beyond the physical is often fascinating, Buddhism emphasizes that these powers should be used wisely and compassionately. The divine eye is not about gaining supernatural powers for personal gain, but about deepening one's understanding of reality and helping others. Practitioners are encouraged to use their expanded vision to guide others on the path to liberation, rather than becoming attached to the powers themselves. Chapter 6. Integrating the divine eye into spiritual practice. Meditative practices for awakening the divine eye. The development of the divine eye is not an accidental occurrence but the result of disciplined spiritual practice. In Buddhism, meditation is the primary method for awakening the divine eye, particularly practices that cultivate deep concentration, samadhi, insight, vipassana, and mindfulness. Sati. Samadhi in the divine eye. Samadhi refers to a state of deep concentration where the mind becomes fully absorbed in its object of meditation. In this state, the mind is calm, focused, and free from distractions, allowing it to perceive subtle aspects of reality that are usually hidden. Through samadhi, practitioners develop the clarity and stability needed to perceive beyond the physical world. Vipassana and insight into reality. Vipassana, or insight meditation, involves observing the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless nature of all phenomena. This practice helps practitioners to see through the illusions created by the mind and to understand the true nature of reality. As insight deepens, the divine eye begins to open, revealing the underlying interconnectedness of all things. Mindfulness and the cultivation of awareness, sati, or mindfulness, involves maintaining continuous awareness of the present moment. This practice helps to stabilize the mind, making it more receptive to the subtle perceptions of the divine eye. Mindfulness also keeps practitioners grounded, ensuring that their expanded vision is used wisely and compassionately. Ethical conduct as the foundation for the divine eye. In Buddhism, the development of the divine eye is closely linked to ethical conduct, sila. The mind must be pure and free from greed, hatred, and delusion for the divine eye to function properly. Ethical conduct lays the foundation for spiritual development, ensuring that the powers of the divine eye are used for the benefit of all beings. The role of sila in developing the divine eye. Ethical conduct involves following the precepts of Buddhism, which include refraining from harming others, stealing, lying, and engaging in harmful sexual behavior. By observing these precepts, practitioners purify their minds and create the conditions necessary for the divine eye to open. This ethical foundation ensures that the insights gained through the divine eye are used to promote compassion, wisdom, and liberation. Compassionate use of the divine eye. The divine eye is a powerful tool for understanding and helping others. However, it must be used with compassion and wisdom. Practitioners are encouraged to use their expanded vision to guide others on the path to liberation, offering support, guidance, and teaching where it is needed. The divine eye should never be used to manipulate or harm others, but always to promote the well-being of all beings. Chapter 7. The Nature of Wisdom. Defining wisdom. Beyond knowledge. In the journey through the five eyes, the eye of wisdom, or Prajñācakṣus, represents a profound shift from seeing the world through the lens of ordinary perception to perceiving it with deep understanding and insight. In Buddhism, wisdom, prajna, is not merely intellectual knowledge, it is an experiential realization of the true nature of reality. Wisdom in Western philosophy. The concept of wisdom has been central to Western philosophy since its inception. In ancient Greece, Socrates famously declared that the only true wisdom is in knowing that one knows nothing. This idea, captured in the Socratic method, emphasizes the importance of questioning assumptions and seeking deeper understanding rather than merely accumulating facts. Aristotle, another giant of Western philosophy, defined wisdom as the highest form of knowledge, combining theoretical understanding, episteme, with practical wisdom, phronesis. For Aristotle, wisdom involved not only knowing the causes and principles behind things but also the ability to apply this knowledge in living a good and ethical life. Wisdom in Eastern philosophy. In Eastern traditions, wisdom is often linked to spiritual insight and the direct experience of reality. In Hinduism, wisdom, jnana, is considered a key component of liberation, and it is gained through study, meditation, and direct experience of the self's unity with Brahman, the ultimate reality. In Buddhism, wisdom is the cornerstone of the path to enlightenment. The Buddha's teachings emphasize that true wisdom is not just understanding concepts intellectually but realizing them in one's own experience. This wisdom is transformative, leading to the cessation of suffering and the attainment of nirvana. Prajna in Buddhism. Prajna, often translated as wisdom, is one of the key virtues in Buddhism. It is the direct, experiential knowledge of sunyata, emptiness, and the realization that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. This insight goes beyond the conceptual understanding of emptiness to a profound, lived experience that transforms one's view of the world. The eye of wisdom is not just about seeing the world differently, it is about seeing the truth that lies beneath the surface of appearances. It involves understanding the impermanent, interdependent, and empty nature of all things and realizing the interconnectedness of all life. This wisdom is the antidote to ignorance, avidya, the root cause of suffering in the Buddhist tradition. Sunyata, the core of wisdom. Central to the eye of wisdom is the realization of sunyata, a concept that is both foundational and profoundly transformative in Buddhist philosophy. Sunyata, often translated as emptiness or voidness, is not a mere negation or absence but rather a positive insight into the true nature of reality. Understanding Sunyata. At its core, Sunyata refers to the emptiness of inherent existence. According to this teaching, all phenomena, whether physical objects, mental states, or even the self, lack an independent, permanent essence. Instead, they exist only in dependence on causes and conditions, constantly changing and interdependent. This insight into emptiness challenges the common-sense view that things exist independently and permanently. It reveals that what we perceive as solid and real is actually fluid, interconnected, and contingent. This understanding is not just philosophical but is meant to be realized in meditation and daily life. Nagarjuna and the Madhyamaka school. The concept of Sunyata was further developed by the Indian philosopher Nagarjuna, the founder of the Madhyamaka, middle way, school of Mahayana Buddhism. Nagarjuna argued that Sunyata is the middle way between the extremes of eternalism, the belief in a permanent, unchanging reality, and nihilism, the belief that nothing exists at all. Nagarjuna's teachings on Sunyata emphasize that emptiness is not nothingness but the true nature of all things. He used logical analysis to demonstrate that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence and that this emptiness itself is not a separate reality but the nature of reality as it is. The role of Sunyata in practice. Realizing Sunyata is central to the development of the eye of wisdom. It involves seeing through the illusions created by the mind and recognizing the empty nature of all phenomena. This insight leads to the dissolution of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, the three poisons that keep beings trapped in the cycle of samsara. In meditation, practitioners focus on observing the arising and passing away of thoughts, sensations, and emotions, seeing their impermanent and empty nature. This practice helps to loosen the grip of the ego, which is based on the false belief in a permanent, independent self. As the sense of self becomes more fluid and less rigid, the practitioner begins to see the world with the eye of wisdom, perceiving the interconnectedness and emptiness of all things. Wisdom versus knowledge, a crucial distinction. One of the key distinctions in Buddhist thought is between knowledge and wisdom. While knowledge, jnana, refers to the accumulation of facts, information, and intellectual understanding, wisdom, prajñā, refers to a deeper, experiential insight that transforms one's way of being in the world. The limits of knowledge. Knowledge, while valuable, is limited in its ability to bring about true liberation. The Buddha emphasized that intellectual understanding alone is not enough to end suffering. One can have extensive knowledge of the Dharma, memorize scriptures, and engage in philosophical debates, but without the direct realization of the truths these teachings point to, one remains bound by ignorance. The danger of relying solely on knowledge is that it can lead to pride, dogmatism, and attachment to views. The Buddha warned against becoming attached to doctrines and theories, even his own teachings, if they are not directly realized in experience. Wisdom, by contrast, is not about clinging to concepts but about seeing things as they truly are. The transformative power of wisdom. Wisdom in Buddhism is inherently transformative. It is not just about understanding the nature of reality but about changing the way one relates to the world. Wisdom leads to a profound shift in perspective, where the practitioner sees beyond the surface appearances of things and understands their true nature as impermanent, interdependent, and empty. This transformation is not merely intellectual but involves the entire being. It changes the way one thinks, feels, and acts, leading to greater compassion, equanimity, and freedom from suffering. Wisdom dissolves the barriers between self and other, leading to a sense of connectedness with all life. Practical applications of wisdom. The eye of wisdom has practical implications for how we live our lives. It guides ethical conduct, helping us to make decisions that are aligned with the realities of impermanence and interdependence. It also fosters compassion, as we recognize that all beings are interconnected and share in the suffering of samsara. In everyday life, the eye of wisdom helps us to navigate challenges and difficulties with greater clarity and equanimity. By seeing the impermanent and empty nature of all things, we can let go of attachment and aversion, respond to situations with greater flexibility, and cultivate a sense of peace and contentment regardless of external circumstances. Chapter 8. The Path to Emptiness, Analytical Approach to Emptiness, Deconstructing Reality. One of the primary methods in Buddhist practice for cultivating the eye of wisdom is the analytical approach to emptiness. This method involves systematically deconstructing the objects of perception to reveal their lack of inherent existence. It is a rigorous intellectual and meditative practice that requires deep concentration and insight. The fourfold negation. A key analytical tool in understanding emptiness is the fourfold negation, which is used to deconstruct the concept of inherent existence. This method, taught by Nagarjuna, involves denying the four possible ways something could inherently exist. 1. Existence from itself. Svabhava. The first negation is the idea that something could exist inherently from its own side, independent of anything else. Nagarjuna argues that if something existed inherently, it would not change or depend on causes and conditions, which contradicts the observed reality of impermanence and interdependence. 2. Existence from another. Parabhava. The second negation is the idea that something could exist inherently by being produced from something else. If something exists inherently from another, it would mean that the cause and effect are the same entity, which is illogical. 3. Existence from both itself and another. The third negation is the idea that something could exist inherently from a combination of itself and another. Nagarjuna refutes this by showing that a combination of two non-existent entities cannot produce an existent entity. 4. Existence from neither itself nor another. The final negation is the idea that something could exist inherently without a cause. This is also refuted, as it contradicts the principle of causality and the observed nature of dependent origination. By applying this fourfold negation to any phenomenon, one realizes that it does not exist inherently but is dependent on causes and conditions. This realization leads to the understanding of emptiness, which is the key to developing the eye of wisdom, emptiness of the self. The most significant application of this analysis is to the concept of the self. In Buddhism, the belief in a permanent, unchanging self is seen as the root of all suffering. By analyzing the self using the fourfold negation, one comes to realize that the self is not an inherent entity but a collection of aggregates, skandhas, that are impermanent and dependent on causes and conditions. This realization dissolves the attachment to the self, leading to a sense of liberation and freedom. When the self is seen as empty, the fear of death diminishes, and the mind becomes less reactive to the ups and downs of life. This insight is a crucial aspect of the eye of wisdom, allowing the practitioner to see through the illusion of self and experience the interconnectedness of all beings. The disintegration of forms, a path to understanding. Another method for cultivating the eye of wisdom is the practice of disintegration, where one systematically deconstructs physical and mental forms to reveal their true nature as empty and interdependent. This practice is often used in conjunction with meditation, where the practitioner focuses on the impermanent and conditioned nature of all phenomena. The example of the body. One common practice is the disintegration of the body. The practitioner reflects on the body as composed of various parts, skin, bones, organs, blood, etc., and analyzes each part to see that none of them, individually or collectively, constitutes a permanent self. This reflection helps to dissolve attachment to the body and reduce the fear of death and physical discomfort. By seeing the body as a temporary, conditioned form that arises and passes away, the practitioner begins to understand the emptiness of the body and the self. This insight leads to a greater sense of peace and acceptance, as the illusion of a permanent, unchanging self is gradually eroded. The disintegration of mental states. Similarly, the practitioner can apply the same analysis to mental states, such as thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. By observing how these mental states arise, persist, and pass away, one comes to see that they, too, are empty of inherent existence. They are not part of a permanent self but are temporary phenomena that depend on causes and conditions. This practice helps to reduce attachment to thoughts and emotions, leading to greater equanimity and mental clarity. By seeing the emptiness of mental states, the practitioner develops the ability to respond to situations with wisdom rather than being driven by reactive emotions. Meditative practices for disintegration. Meditative practices that focus on the disintegration of forms include vipassana, insight meditation, and the four foundations of mindfulness. Satipatthana. In these practices, the practitioner systematically observes the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Analyzing them to reveal their impermanent and empty nature, these practices are designed to cultivate a deep understanding of emptiness, allowing the practitioner to see the world with the eye of wisdom. As the practice deepens, the sense of self becomes less solid, and the interconnectedness of all phenomena becomes more apparent. This insight is the key to developing compassion, equanimity, and freedom from suffering. Penetrating reality, the practice of direct perception. While analytical methods are essential for developing the eye of wisdom, they must be complemented by the practice of direct perception, seeing things as they truly are without the filters of concepts, beliefs, or attachments. This practice involves cultivating a clear, open awareness that can penetrate through the layers of illusion and see the true nature of reality. The role of mindfulness, sati, is the foundation of direct perception. It involves maintaining continuous awareness of the present moment, observing whatever arises without judgment or attachment. Mindfulness allows the practitioner to see the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless nature of all phenomena, leading to the direct realization of emptiness. Mindfulness is often practiced in conjunction with insight meditation, where the practitioner systematically observes the arising and passing away of physical sensations, thoughts, and emotions. This practice helps to develop the ability to see through the illusions created by the mind and perceive reality as it is. The practice of non-clinging. A crucial aspect of direct perception is the practice of non-clinging. In Buddhism, clinging, upadana, is seen as the primary cause of suffering. It involves grasping onto things, whether material objects, ideas, or identities, as if they were permanent and inherently real. Non-clinging involves letting go of the need to hold on to things and allowing them to arise and pass away naturally. This practice is not about rejecting or denying experiences but about seeing them for what they are, temporary, conditioned phenomena that do not possess inherent existence. By practicing non-clinging, the practitioner develops a sense of freedom and ease, as the mind becomes less attached to external circumstances and more grounded in the present moment. This freedom is a hallmark of the eye of wisdom, allowing one to navigate the world with clarity, compassion, and equanimity. The experience of emptiness. The ultimate goal of direct perception is the experience of emptiness. This experience is not merely a conceptual understanding but a profound, transformative realization that changes the way one sees the world. When the mind perceives the emptiness of all phenomena, it becomes free from the delusions of self, permanence, and inherent existence. This freedom leads to the cessation of suffering and the realization of nirvana, the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path. The experience of emptiness is often described as a state of profound peace, clarity, and bliss. It is a state where the distinctions between self and other, subject and object, dissolve, revealing the interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. This experience is the culmination of the development of the eye of wisdom and the gateway to the higher eyes of Dharma and Buddha. Chapter 9. The Experience of Emptiness, Meditative Realization of Emptiness. The journey inward, the realization of emptiness, or sunyata, is the crowning achievement of the eye of wisdom. It is not an intellectual understanding but a direct, experiential insight that arises through deep meditation and inner contemplation. This realization transforms one's perception of reality, leading to profound inner freedom and the cessation of suffering. The role of samadhi, or concentration, is essential in the meditative realization of emptiness. Through deep concentration, the mind becomes still, focused, and free from distractions. In this state, the practitioner can observe the arising and passing away of phenomena with great clarity and precision. Samadhi serves as the foundation for vipassana, or insight meditation, where the practitioner investigates the nature of reality. By observing the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless nature of all phenomena, the practitioner begins to see through the illusions created by the mind and perceives the emptiness of all things. The insight into impermanence. One of the first insights that arise in the meditative practice is the realization of impermanence, anicca. The practitioner observes how all phenomena, whether physical sensations, thoughts, or emotions, arise, persist for a time, and then pass away. This observation reveals that nothing in the world is permanent or stable, and that clinging to anything is a source of suffering. As the realization of impermanence deepens, the practitioner begins to see that even the sense of self is impermanent. The self is not a fixed entity but a process, a constantly changing flow of thoughts, sensations, and experiences. This insight challenges the deeply ingrained belief in a permanent, unchanging self and leads to a more fluid and open sense of identity. The insight into suffering, alongside the realization of impermanence, is the insight into suffering, dukkha. The practitioner sees that all conditioned phenomena are unsatisfactory because they are subject to change and cannot provide lasting happiness or security. This insight leads to a deeper understanding of the nature of suffering and the causes of suffering, clinging, aversion, and ignorance. The realization of suffering is not meant to be depressing or pessimistic, rather, it is a crucial step in the path to liberation. By understanding the true nature of suffering, the practitioner can begin to let go of the attachments and aversions that create suffering and move towards a state of inner peace and freedom. The insight into no-self, the culmination of the practice of insight meditation, is the realization of anatta, or no-self. The practitioner sees that the self, which is normally taken to be the center of experience, is actually an illusion, a construct of the mind that lacks inherent existence. This realization is deeply transformative. It dissolves the sense of separation between self and other, leading to a profound sense of interconnectedness and compassion. The practitioner no longer identifies with the ego and its desires, fears, and attachments but sees the self as an empty, fluid process that is part of the larger web of life, the direct experience of emptiness. As the insights into impermanence, suffering, and no-self deepen, the practitioner begins to experience the emptiness of all phenomena. This experience is not a void or a negation of existence but a direct perception of the true nature of reality. In the experience of emptiness, the distinctions between subject and object, self and other, dissolve. The practitioner sees that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, arising and passing away in dependence on causes and conditions. This realization leads to a profound sense of freedom, peace, and equanimity, as the mind is no longer attached to the illusions of permanence and self, emptiness and bliss. The paradox of liberation. One of the most paradoxical aspects of the realization of emptiness is the experience of bliss that often accompanies it. At first glance, the idea of emptiness might seem negative or even frightening. After all, it involves letting go of the very things we cling to for security and happiness. Yet, in the Buddhist tradition, the realization of emptiness is often described as a state of profound joy and liberation. The bliss of letting go, the bliss associated with the realization of emptiness, arises from the freedom of letting go of attachments and delusions. When the mind sees the true nature of reality, that everything is impermanent, interdependent, and empty of inherent existence, it no longer clings to things as if they were solid and unchanging. This letting go brings a sense of relief and ease, as the mind is no longer burdened by the constant effort to grasp and hold on to things. This bliss is not the result of acquiring something new or achieving a particular goal, rather, it comes from the cessation of the mental and emotional struggles that arise from attachment and ignorance. It is a state of inner peace and contentment that is not dependent on external circumstances. The joy of interconnectedness. Another source of bliss in the realization of emptiness is the deep sense of interconnectedness that arises. When the self is seen as empty, the boundaries between self and other begin to dissolve. The practitioner experiences a profound sense of unity with all beings and the entire universe. This sense of interconnectedness gives rise to boundless compassion, as the practitioner sees that all beings are interconnected and share in the same suffering and joy. The realization that there is no separate self leads to a natural, spontaneous love and care for others, which is itself a source of joy and fulfillment. The freedom from fear. The realization of emptiness also brings freedom from fear, particularly the fear of death. When the self is seen as empty, the fear of losing the self diminishes. The practitioner understands that death is not the end of a permanent self but simply the passing away of a temporary, conditioned process. This understanding brings a sense of equanimity and acceptance of the natural cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The practitioner no longer clings to life out of fear but lives with a sense of ease and openness, knowing that everything is part of the continuous flow of existence. The risks of attachment to emptiness, avoiding extremes. While the realization of emptiness is essential to the development of the eye of wisdom, there is also a danger of becoming attached to the concept of emptiness itself. The Buddha warned against this attachment, as it can lead to nihilism and a distorted view of reality. The danger of nihilism. Nihilism is the belief that nothing exists or that life has no meaning or value. While the realization of emptiness involves seeing that things lack inherent existence, it does not mean that things do not exist at all. Emptiness is often misunderstood as nothingness, leading some practitioners to fall into a nihilistic view that denies the reality of the world and the importance of ethical conduct. The Buddha emphasized that emptiness is not a negation of existence but a recognition of the interdependent, conditioned nature of all things. Everything exists in dependence on causes and conditions, and this existence is meaningful and valuable. The realization of emptiness should lead to greater compassion, wisdom, and ethical conduct, not to a denial of the world. The middle way. The correct understanding of emptiness is found in the middle way, which avoids the extremes of eternalism, the belief in a permanent, unchanging self or reality, and nihilism, the belief that nothing exists. The middle way recognizes that while all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, they still exist conventionally and have effects in the world. This understanding is essential for avoiding the pitfalls of attachment to emptiness. The practitioner must balance the realization of emptiness with a recognition of the conventional reality in which we live and act. This balance leads to a wise and compassionate engagement with the world, where the practitioner sees things as they are but also acts to alleviate suffering and promote well-being. The importance of ethical conduct. The Buddha also emphasized that the realization of emptiness must be grounded in ethical conduct, sila. Without a foundation of morality, the realization of emptiness can be misunderstood and misused. Ethical conduct purifies the mind, making it a suitable vessel for the deep insights of wisdom. In the Buddhist path, ethical conduct, meditation, and wisdom are interdependent and support each other. Ethical conduct lays the foundation for meditation, which in turn leads to the realization of wisdom. This holistic approach ensures that the realization of emptiness is integrated into a life of compassion, responsibility, and meaningful action. Chapter 10. The Compassionate Vision. The role of compassion in Buddhism. Seeing with the Dharma eye. The Dharma eye, or Dharmacakṣus, represents a significant evolution in the way one perceives the world. While the eye of wisdom focuses on understanding the true nature of reality, specifically, the emptiness and interdependence of all phenomena, the Dharma eye integrates this wisdom with boundless compassion, karu. It is an eye that sees not only the truth of emptiness but also the pervasive suffering in the world, and it moves the practitioner to act with compassion to alleviate that suffering. In Buddhism, compassion is not merely a sentiment or a feeling of pity for others. It is a profound, active force that arises from the realization of interconnectedness and the recognition that all beings, without exception, seek happiness and wish to avoid suffering. The Dharma eye, therefore, is the vision that sees all beings as interconnected, interdependent, and deserving of compassion. The Bodhisattva ideal. Central to the concept of the Dharma eye is the ideal of the Bodhisattva, a being who, having realized the truth of emptiness, chooses to remain in the world of samsara to help others attain liberation. The Bodhisattva embodies the integration of wisdom and compassion, using the Dharma eye to see beyond personal liberation and to work tirelessly for the benefit of all beings. The Bodhisattva's vow is to forego final nirvana until all beings are liberated from suffering. This vow is born from the Dharma eye's vision, which sees the suffering of others as inseparable from one's own suffering. The Bodhisattva understands that true liberation is not complete until all beings are free, and this understanding fuels their compassionate actions. The Heart Sutra and the Bodhisattva Path. The Heart Sutra, one of the most important texts in Mahayana Buddhism, encapsulates the vision of the Dharma I. It famously declares that form is emptiness, and emptiness is form, emphasizing the non-duality of appearance and reality. But the Heart Sutra goes further, linking this wisdom directly to the Bodhisattva's path. The Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion, is said to have realized the truth of emptiness and, with this realization, sees all beings as empty of inherent existence. This insight does not lead to indifference but to a deeper compassion, as Avalokiteshvara understands that suffering, too, is empty, yet very real for those who experience it. This paradox, that suffering is both empty and real, guides the Bodhisattva's actions, inspiring them to alleviate suffering wherever it arises, from wisdom to compassion. The evolution of perception, the transition from the eye of wisdom to the Dharma eye marks a shift from personal insight to universal compassion. While the eye of wisdom sees the emptiness of all phenomena and transcends the delusions of self and permanence, the Dharma eye turns this insight outward, applying it to the way one interacts with the world, compassion as the natural expression of wisdom. In Buddhism, compassion is not seen as separate from wisdom but as its natural expression. When one truly understands the nature of reality, its impermanence, interdependence, and emptiness, compassion naturally arises. This is because wisdom dissolves the boundaries between self and other, leading to the realization that all beings are interconnected and share in the same fundamental experiences of birth, aging, sickness, and death. The Dharma eye, therefore, is not just a vision of emptiness but a vision of emptiness suffused with compassion. It sees the world as it is, full of suffering yet empty of inherent existence, and responds with a commitment to relieve that suffering. This compassionate vision is what distinguishes the Dharma eye from the eye of wisdom, as it is not content with mere understanding but seeks to transform that understanding into compassionate action. The importance of intention. The Dharma eye also emphasizes the importance of intention, satana, in guiding one's actions. In Buddhism, intention is the mental factor that determines the ethical quality of an action. When the Dharma eye is active, one's intentions are informed by both wisdom and compassion, leading to actions that are beneficial for oneself and others. A practitioner with the Dharma eye is mindful of their intentions, ensuring that they are aligned with the principles of compassion and non-harming. This mindfulness of intention is crucial for cultivating right action, speech, and livelihood, as outlined in the Noble Eightfold Path. It also ensures that one's actions contribute to the alleviation of suffering rather than its perpetuation. The Bodhisattva ideal, a life of compassionate service. The Bodhisattva ideal is the embodiment of the Dharma eye's vision. It represents the highest aspiration in Mahayana Buddhism, to attain enlightenment for the sake of all beings, not just for oneself. The Bodhisattva uses the Dharma eye to see the suffering of others as inseparable from their own and is motivated by the desire to help all beings achieve liberation. The Bodhisattva vow. Central to the Bodhisattva path is the Bodhisattva vow, a solemn commitment to attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. This vow is taken with the understanding that all beings are interconnected, and that true liberation is not complete until all beings are free from suffering. The Bodhisattva vow is both a profound spiritual commitment and a practical guide for daily life. It encourages the practitioner to cultivate qualities such as generosity, patience, ethical conduct, and skillful means, all of which are essential for alleviating the suffering of others. The Dharma eye guides the Bodhisattva in these endeavors, ensuring that their actions are informed by wisdom and compassion. Compassionate action in the world. The Bodhisattva does not retreat from the world but engages with it fully, using their insight and compassion to address the suffering they encounter. Whether through teaching, helping others in need, or working for social and environmental justice, the Bodhisattva's actions are always aimed at relieving suffering and promoting the well-being of all beings. The Dharma eye allows the Bodhisattva to see the interconnectedness of all life and the far-reaching consequences of their actions. This vision inspires them to act in ways that benefit not just individuals but entire communities and ecosystems. The Bodhisattva's compassion is not limited by personal relationships or immediate circumstances. It extends to all beings, regardless of their situation or relationship to the Bodhisattva, the practice of the six perfections. The Bodhisattva path is often described in terms of the practice of the six perfections: Paramithas, generosity, ethical conduct, patience, effort, concentration, and wisdom. These perfections are cultivated with the Dharma eye's vision, ensuring that each action is infused with both wisdom and compassion. Generosity. Dana, the Bodhisattva practices generosity by giving without attachment, understanding that both the giver and the receiver are empty of inherent existence. This generosity is not just material but also includes giving time, attention, and spiritual teachings. Ethical conduct. Sila, the Bodhisattva's ethical conduct is guided by the Dharma eye, ensuring that their actions are non-harming and beneficial to all beings. They observe the precepts with mindfulness, recognizing that ethical conduct is essential for creating a peaceful and harmonious world. Patience. Kshanti, the Bodhisattva practices patience in the face of difficulties, understanding that all challenges are opportunities for growth and the development of compassion. Patience is particularly important when dealing with the suffering of others, as it allows the Bodhisattva to remain calm and compassionate even in difficult situations. Effort. Virya, the Bodhisattva is diligent in their practice, continuously cultivating the qualities that lead to enlightenment. This effort is sustained by the vision of the Dharma eye, which sees the importance of perseverance in the face of suffering. Concentration. Dhyana, the Bodhisattva cultivates concentration to stabilize the mind and deepen their understanding of reality. This concentration supports the development of wisdom and the ability to see the world with the Dharma eye. Wisdom. Prajñā, the wisdom of the Bodhisattva is informed by the Dharma eye, which sees the emptiness and interconnectedness of all phenomena. This wisdom guides the Bodhisattva's actions, ensuring that they are always aligned with the ultimate goal of alleviating suffering and bringing all beings to liberation. Chapter 11. The Middle Way of the Dharma Eye, Avoiding Extremes. The balance of wisdom and compassion. The Dharma Eye is rooted in the middle way, a core principle of Buddhism that avoids the extremes of asceticism and indulgence, as well as the extremes of eternalism and nihilism. The middle way is not just a path of moderation but a profound insight into the nature of reality that balances wisdom and compassion. The middle way between eternalism and nihilism. One of the most important aspects of the middle way is its rejection of the extremes of eternalism and nihilism. Eternalism is the belief that there is a permanent, unchanging essence or self, while nihilism is the belief that nothing exists at all. The Dharma eye sees through both of these delusions, recognizing that while all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, they still exist in a dependent, conditional way. The middle way acknowledges the conventional reality of the world while also understanding its ultimate emptiness. This balance allows the practitioner to engage with the world compassionately, without becoming attached to the illusion of permanence or falling into the despair of nihilism. The Dharma eye guides the practitioner in navigating this delicate balance, ensuring that their actions are both wise and compassionate. The middle way in practice. In daily life, the middle way is practiced by avoiding extremes in behavior, thought, and emotion. This includes avoiding the extremes of self-indulgence and self-denial, as well as the extremes of attachment and aversion. The Dharma eye helps the practitioner to see the middle path in every situation, leading to a life of balance, harmony, and equanimity. For example, when faced with a difficult situation, the practitioner with the Dharma eye sees beyond the immediate emotional reaction and responds with clarity and compassion. They do not react out of attachment to a particular outcome or aversion to discomfort but act in a way that is in harmony with the principles of wisdom and compassion. This balanced approach leads to more effective and compassionate action, as it is not driven by extremes but by a deep understanding of the nature of reality. The importance of ethical conduct. The middle way also emphasizes the importance of ethical conduct, which is essential for the development of the Dharma eye. Ethical conduct creates the conditions for wisdom and compassion to flourish, as it purifies the mind and fosters a sense of harmony and balance in one's life. The Dharma eye guides the practitioner in observing the precepts with mindfulness and integrity. It helps them to see the interconnectedness of their actions and the impact they have on others. This awareness leads to a deeper commitment to ethical conduct, as the practitioner understands that their actions contribute to the well-being of all beings. Reality and emptiness. Integrating insight and compassion, the Dharma sees reality as both empty and full of potential for compassionate action. This dual vision allows the practitioner to engage with the world in a way that is both wise and compassionate, understanding that while all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, they are also part of a complex web of interdependence that requires compassionate care. Emptiness as potential. In Mahayana Buddhism, emptiness is not seen as a void or a negation of reality but as a field of infinite potential. Because all phenomena are empty of inherent existence, they are also free to change, transform, and interconnect in myriad ways. This understanding allows the practitioner to see every situation as an opportunity for compassionate action and transformation. The Dharma recognizes that while suffering is real in the conventional sense, it is also empty of inherent existence. This insight allows the practitioner to approach suffering with both wisdom and compassion, knowing that it can be transformed through right understanding and skillful action. The realization of emptiness does not lead to indifference but to a deeper engagement with the world, as the practitioner sees the potential for alleviating suffering and promoting well-being in every moment. The compassionate heart. The Dharma is closely linked to the cultivation of the compassionate heart. Compassion in Buddhism is not just a feeling but a profound commitment to alleviating the suffering of all beings. This commitment arises naturally when one sees the interconnectedness of all life and understands that the suffering of others is inseparable from one's own suffering. The Dharma sees the world with a compassionate heart, recognizing that all beings are struggling with the challenges of samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. This recognition leads to a deep sense of empathy and a desire to help others find liberation from suffering. The compassionate heart is not limited by personal preferences or attachments, it extends to all beings, regardless of their circumstances or relationship to the practitioner. Engaged Buddhism. The Dharma also inspires what is known as Engaged Buddhism, a movement that seeks to apply Buddhist principles to social, political, and environmental issues. Engaged Buddhism is based on the understanding that the suffering of the world is not separate from the suffering of the individual, and that true liberation involves addressing both personal and collective suffering. The Dharma guides the practitioner in engaging with the world in a way that is informed by wisdom and compassion. This engagement may take many forms, from social activism and environmental stewardship to compassionate care for the sick and the dying. Whatever form it takes, it is always motivated by the desire to alleviate suffering and promote the well-being of all beings. Compassion in action. Applying the Dharma in daily life. The Dharma is not just a theoretical concept but a practical tool for living a life of compassion and wisdom. It provides a framework for understanding and responding to the challenges of daily life, ensuring that one's actions are aligned with the principles of Buddhism. Mindful living. One of the most important applications of the Dharma is in the practice of mindful living. Mindfulness involves being fully present in each moment, aware of one's thoughts, emotions, and actions. With the Dharma mindfulness is infused with wisdom and compassion, allowing the practitioner to see each moment as an opportunity for compassionate action. In daily life, this might involve being mindful of how one's words affect others, choosing actions that promote harmony and well-being, and responding to challenges with patience and understanding. The Dharma helps the practitioner to see beyond the immediate circumstances and to act in ways that are beneficial for all involved. Compassionate communication. The Dharma also guides compassionate communication, ensuring that one's words are truthful, kind, and conducive to understanding. Compassionate communication involves listening deeply to others, speaking from the heart, and being mindful of the impact of one's words. In conversations, the Dharma helps the practitioner to see the underlying needs and concerns of others, allowing for more empathetic and constructive dialogue. This approach fosters better relationships and helps to resolve conflicts in a way that is aligned with the principles of Buddhism. Service to others. Service to others is another important aspect of applying the Dharma in daily life. This service can take many forms, from volunteering and helping those in need to simply being kind and considerate in everyday interactions. The Dharma sees service as an expression of compassion and a way to contribute to the well-being of all beings. It recognizes that true happiness comes from helping others and that acts of kindness and generosity are essential for creating a more just and compassionate world. Personal practice and social responsibility. The Dharma also integrates personal spiritual practice with social responsibility. It understands that individual well-being is interconnected with the well-being of society and the environment, and that true liberation involves addressing both personal and collective suffering. In practice, this might involve advocating for social justice, protecting the environment, and working to create a more equitable and compassionate society. The Dharma guides the practitioner in finding ways to contribute to the greater good, while also maintaining a commitment to personal spiritual development. Chapter 12. The Dharma in Modern Life. Applying the Dharma Compassion in a complex world. In the modern world, the challenges we face are vast and complex, ranging from personal struggles to global issues such as climate change, inequality, and conflict. The Dharma offers a way to navigate these challenges with wisdom and compassion, providing a vision that sees beyond the surface and addresses the root causes of suffering. The global perspective. The Dharma allows the practitioner to see the interconnectedness of all beings and the global nature of many of the issues we face today. This perspective fosters a sense of global responsibility and encourages actions that contribute to the well-being of the planet and all its inhabitants. For example, the Dharma might inspire someone to take action on environmental issues, understanding that the health of the planet is directly connected to the well-being of all beings. It might also lead to greater awareness of social justice issues, recognizing that the suffering of marginalized communities is not separate from one's own well-being. Compassionate leadership. The Dharma is also valuable for those in leadership roles, whether in business, politics, or community organizations. Compassionate leadership involves making decisions that are informed by both wisdom and compassion, taking into account the long-term consequences of actions and their impact on all stakeholders. A leader with the Dharma seeks to create environments that promote the well-being of everyone involved, from employees and customers to the broader community and the environment. This approach to leadership fosters trust, collaboration, and positive change, aligning business and organizational practices with the principles of Buddhism. Mindfulness in the workplace. The Dharma can also be applied in the workplace, where it encourages mindfulness, ethical conduct, and compassionate interactions. Mindfulness practices in the workplace can reduce stress, improve focus, and enhance relationships, leading to a more positive and productive work environment. The Dharma helps individuals to navigate workplace challenges with clarity and compassion, ensuring that their actions are aligned with their values. This might involve making ethical decisions, supporting colleagues in need, and contributing to a culture of respect and collaboration. Buddhist ethics and the Dharma a guide for modern living. The Dharma provides a foundation for ethical living in the modern world, offering a set of principles that can guide one's actions in a way that promotes both personal and collective well-being. The 5 precepts. The 5 precepts are the basic ethical guidelines for lay Buddhists and are essential for cultivating the Dharma. These precepts involve refraining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, and intoxicants that cloud the mind. By observing these precepts, the practitioner creates the conditions for wisdom and compassion to flourish. In modern life, the 5 precepts can be applied in a variety of contexts, from personal relationships to professional conduct. They serve as a reminder to act in ways that are non-harming, truthful, and respectful of others, ensuring that one's actions contribute to the well-being of all beings. The Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is a more comprehensive guide to ethical living, encompassing right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The Dharma informs each aspect of the path, ensuring that one's actions are aligned with the principles of wisdom and compassion. The Noble Eightfold Path provides a framework for navigating the complexities of modern life, offering practical guidance for making ethical decisions, cultivating mindfulness, and deepening one's spiritual practice. By following this path, the practitioner integrates the vision of the Dharma I into every aspect of their life. The Bodhisattva vow in modern life. For those who take the Bodhisattva vow, the Dharma I provides the vision needed to fulfill this profound commitment in the modern world. The Bodhisattva vow involves a dedication to alleviating the suffering of all beings and to attaining enlightenment for the benefit of others. In modern life, this vow might inspire someone to engage in social activism, work for environmental sustainability, or provide compassionate care for those in need. The Dharma I guides the Bodhisattva in finding ways to serve others, whether through direct action, teaching, or simply living a life of kindness and integrity. Case studies, modern examples of the Dharma I in action. There are many examples of individuals and organizations that embody the vision of the Dharma I in their work and lives. These case studies provide inspiration and practical insights into how the Dharma I can be applied in various contexts. Thich Nhat Hanh and Engaged Buddhism. Thich Nhat Hanh, a Vietnamese Zen master, is one of the most well-known advocates of engaged Buddhism. His teachings emphasize the importance of applying Buddhist principles to social, political, and environmental issues. Thich Nhat Hanh's work with refugees, his efforts to promote peace during the Vietnam War, and his teachings on mindfulness and compassion have had a profound impact on people around the world. Thich Nhat Hanh's approach to Buddhism is informed by the Dharma I, which sees the interconnectedness of all beings and the need for compassionate action in the face of suffering. His teachings on mindfulness, ethical living, and social engagement provide a model for how the Dharma I can be applied in modern life. The Dalai Lama and compassionate leadership. The Dalai Lama is another prominent example of the Dharma I in action. As the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism and a global advocate for peace and compassion, the Dalai Lama has dedicated his life to promoting the principles of wisdom and compassion. The Dalai Lama's approach to leadership is deeply informed by the Dharma I, which guides his efforts to promote human values, interfaith harmony, and environmental sustainability. His emphasis on universal responsibility and the importance of compassion in all aspects of life provides a powerful example of how the Dharma I can inspire compassionate leadership in the modern world. The Green Buddhist Movement. The Green Buddhist movement is an example of how the Dharma I can be applied to environmental issues. This movement, which includes individuals and organizations working to promote environmental sustainability, is based on the understanding that the health of the planet is directly connected to the well-being of all beings. The Dharma I sees the interconnectedness of all life and recognizes the urgent need to address environmental degradation. The Green Buddhist movement promotes practices such as mindful consumption, sustainable living, and environmental advocacy, all informed by the vision of the Dharma I. Chapter 13, The Ultimate Vision, Introduction to the Buddha I, the pinnacle of spiritual perception. The journey through the 5 eyes of Buddhism culminates in the realization of the Buddha I, or Buddhacakṣus. This is the ultimate vision, the highest form of spiritual perception that transcends all dualities and distinctions. While the Dharma I integrates wisdom with compassion, the Buddha I embodies the complete realization of the truth of reality, seeing the world as it is in its most profound and all-encompassing sense. The Buddha I represents a state of consciousness where the distinctions between subject and object, self and other, form and emptiness, dissolve entirely. It is the I that sees the ultimate nature of reality, a vision that is beyond ordinary comprehension and language. This vision is not merely an intellectual understanding but a direct, experiential realization that transforms one's entire being. In Buddhist texts, the Buddha I is often associated with the full enlightenment of a Buddha, a state of perfect wisdom, boundless compassion, and complete liberation from the cycle of birth and death. The Buddha I is the realization of tathata or suchness, the true nature of all things, beyond the grasp of conventional thought, beyond duality. The non-dual vision of the Buddha I. One of the most important aspects of the Buddha I is its non-dual nature. In our ordinary perception, we see the world through the lens of duality, self and other, good and bad, existence and non-existence. These dualities shape our experience of the world, creating a sense of separation and division that leads to attachment, aversion, and suffering. The Buddha I, however, sees beyond these dualities, recognizing that they are constructs of the mind, not inherent aspects of reality. In the ultimate sense, there is no self and other, no birth and death, no coming and going. All distinctions dissolve in the realization of the oneness of all things, a state of perfect unity that is the hallmark of the Buddha I. The doctrine of non-duality. The concept of non-duality is central to many Eastern philosophies, including Buddhism, Advaita Vedanta in Hinduism, and Taoism. In Buddhism, non-duality is closely associated with the teachings of sunyata, emptiness, and tathata, suchness. These teachings reveal that all phenomena are empty of inherent existence and that their true nature is beyond all conceptual distinctions. In the state of non-duality, the mind no longer grasps at concepts or categories. Instead, it rests in the direct experience of reality as it is, pure, unconditioned, and free from all mental fabrications. This state is often described as suchness or thusness, indicating the way things truly are, beyond the limitations of language and thought. The experience of oneness. The realization of non-duality in the Buddha I leads to an experience of oneness with all of existence. This oneness is not an abstract concept but a direct, felt experience of the interconnectedness of all life. The boundaries between self and other dissolve, and the practitioner experiences themselves as part of the whole, with no separation or distinction. This experience of oneness is accompanied by a profound sense of peace, joy, and freedom. The practitioner no longer feels isolated or alienated but experiences a deep connection with all beings and the entire universe. This connection is the foundation of the Buddha's boundless compassion, as the suffering of others is seen as one's own suffering, and the liberation of others is seen as one's own liberation. The Buddha I and infinity, the vision of boundless space. The Buddha I is also characterized by its vision of infinity, which transcends the ordinary limitations of space and time. In the state of the Buddha I, the practitioner perceives the universe as boundless, with no fixed center or boundaries. This infinite vision is a direct experience of the vastness of reality, where all distinctions of near and far, large and small, dissolve into a single, all-encompassing awareness, the infinite universe. In modern science, the concept of an infinite universe is explored in the context of cosmology and quantum physics. The Buddha I, however, perceives infinity not as a theoretical concept but as a direct, lived experience. In this state, the mind is no longer confined by the ordinary perception of space. Instead, it experiences space as limitless, without any fixed points or boundaries. This infinite vision is often described in Buddhist texts as seeing the entire cosmos in a single grain of sand or perceiving all beings in a single moment of awareness. This vision reveals the interconnectedness of all things, where each part reflects the whole, and the whole is present in each part. This perception of infinity is not separate from the realization of non-duality, rather, it is an expression of the non-dual nature of reality. The practice of contemplating infinity. The vision of infinity in the Buddha I can be cultivated through specific meditative practices, such as the contemplation of the infinite, Anantakara. In this practice, the practitioner focuses on the boundless nature of space, allowing the mind to expand beyond its usual limitations. This practice helps to dissolve the ordinary boundaries of perception and opens the mind to the direct experience of the infinite. The contemplation of infinity is also linked to the practice of maitri, loving-kindness, and karuna, compassion, where the practitioner extends their love and compassion to all beings in the universe. By cultivating a sense of boundless love and compassion, the practitioner aligns themselves with the vision of the Buddha I, seeing all beings as part of a single, interconnected whole, eternity, and the Buddha I, the vision beyond time. Just as the Buddha I perceives infinity in space, it also transcends the ordinary perception of time. In the state of the Buddha I, time is experienced as an eternal present, where past, present, and future are seen as aspects of a single, timeless reality. This vision of eternity is a direct experience of the timeless nature of the Buddha mind, which exists beyond the cycle of birth and death, the eternal now. The concept of the eternal now is central to many spiritual traditions, including Buddhism. In the state of the Buddha eye, the mind no longer clings to the past or projects into the future. Instead, it rests fully in the present moment, experiencing it as the only reality. This present moment is not a fleeting instant but an eternal, unchanging presence that underlies all temporal phenomena. The realization of the eternal now is often described as a state of perfect equanimity and peace. In this state, the practitioner is no longer disturbed by the passage of time, the fear of death, or the anticipation of future events. Instead, they experience a profound sense of stillness and contentment, knowing that the true nature of reality is beyond all change and decay, transcending the cycle of birth and death. The Buddha eye also sees beyond the cycle of samsara, the endless round of birth, death, and rebirth that binds beings to suffering. In the state of the Buddha eye, the practitioner realizes the timeless nature of the Buddha mind, which is beyond birth and death. This realization is the key to liberation, as it frees the practitioner from the fear of death and the attachment to the impermanent self. The vision of eternity in the Buddha eye is closely linked to the realization of nirvana, the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path. Nirvana is often described as the cessation of suffering and the end of the cycle of samsara, but it is also understood as the realization of the timeless, unconditioned nature of the Buddha mind. In this state, the practitioner experiences a profound sense of freedom and peace. Knowing that they are no longer bound by the limitations of time and space, the Buddha eye and timeless wisdom, the wisdom of the Buddha eye is not bound by the ordinary constraints of time. It is a timeless wisdom that perceives the true nature of reality beyond the distinctions of past, present, and future. This wisdom is often described in Buddhist texts as the timeless Dharma, the eternal truth that is always present, regardless of time or place. The Buddha eye sees the unfolding of the universe as a single, continuous process, where all events are interconnected and interdependent. This vision allows the practitioner to perceive the deeper patterns and rhythms of existence. Understanding that all things arise and pass away in accordance with the natural law of cause and effect. This understanding leads to a profound sense of equanimity and acceptance, as the practitioner sees that all things are part of the timeless flow of reality. Chapter 14, The All-Encompassing Vision, the Unity of All Existence, Seeing the Whole in Each Part. The Buddha eye is the vision that sees the unity of all existence, where each part reflects the whole, and the whole is present in each part. This vision is not merely conceptual but a direct, experiential realization that transforms the way one perceives the world. In the state of the Buddha eye, the practitioner sees that all beings, all phenomena, and all experiences are interconnected, interdependent, and inseparable from the ultimate truth. The Indra's net metaphor, a powerful metaphor used in Mahayana Buddhism to describe this vision of unity, is Indra's net. According to this metaphor, the universe is like a vast net of jewels, where each jewel reflects all the other jewels in the net. Each reflection contains the entire net, and thus each jewel is both distinct and a part of the whole. This metaphor illustrates the interconnectedness of all things, where every part is a reflection of the whole, and the whole is present in each part. The Buddha eye perceives reality as Indra's net, where all beings and phenomena are interconnected and interdependent. This vision dissolves the boundaries between self and other, inside and outside, showing that all things are part of a single, unified whole. This understanding leads to a profound sense of compassion and responsibility. As the practitioner sees that their actions affect all beings and that the well-being of the whole is dependent on the well-being of each part, the practice of seeing unity in diversity, the vision of unity in the Buddha eye can be cultivated through specific practices, such as the contemplation of interconnectedness and the practice of non-dual awareness. These practices help to dissolve the ordinary distinctions of self and other, allowing the practitioner to experience the oneness of all life. In daily life, this vision can be applied by seeing the connections between one's own actions and the broader web of existence. For example, when making decisions, the practitioner considers the impact of their actions on others, the environment, and the future. This awareness leads to more ethical, compassionate, and sustainable choices, as the practitioner recognizes that their well-being is inseparable from the well-being of the whole. compassionate action in the world. The vision of unity in the Buddha eye also inspires compassionate action in the world. When the practitioner sees that all beings are interconnected and interdependent, they are naturally moved to act in ways that promote the well-being of all. This compassionate action is not limited to specific acts of kindness but extends to all aspects of life, including social, political, and environmental engagement. The Buddha eye guides the practitioner in seeing the larger patterns and systems that shape the world, allowing them to address the root causes of suffering and injustice. This vision leads to a holistic approach to problem solving, where the practitioner seeks to create solutions that benefit the whole, rather than just addressing the symptoms of a problem. The Buddha eye and the Bodhisattva path, infinite compassion. The Buddha eye is the ultimate vision of the Bodhisattva, the being who has vowed to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. The Bodhisattva, guided by the Buddha eye, sees the suffering of all beings as their own and is motivated by an infinite compassion to alleviate that suffering. This compassion is not limited by personal attachment or preference, it extends to all beings. Without exception, the vow of the Bodhisattva's vow is a profound commitment to the liberation of all beings. This vow is informed by the vision of the Buddha eye, which sees the interconnectedness of all life and the ultimate oneness of all beings. The Bodhisattva understands that true liberation is not complete until all beings are free from suffering, and they dedicate their life to this goal. The Buddha eye allows the Bodhisattva to see the deep, underlying causes of suffering and to address them with wisdom and skillful means. This vision guides the Bodhisattva in finding the most effective ways to help others, whether through teaching, direct action, or simply being a source of inspiration and support. Infinite compassion and skillful means. The compassion of the Bodhisattva is infinite, encompassing all beings in the universe. This compassion is expressed through upaya, or skillful means, the ability to adapt the teachings and practices of Buddhism to meet the needs of different beings in different situations. The Buddha eye guides the Bodhisattva in using skillful means to address the specific challenges and conditions of each being, ensuring that their actions are always aligned with the ultimate goal of liberation. The Buddha eye also helps the Bodhisattva to see the potential for awakening in every being, no matter how deeply they may be caught in delusion or suffering. This vision inspires the Bodhisattva to persevere in their efforts to help others, even when the path is difficult or the results are not immediately apparent. The Bodhisattva's infinite compassion is sustained by the understanding that all beings have the potential for enlightenment, and that each act of kindness, no matter how small, contributes to the liberation of all. The Buddha eye and enlightenment. The realization of ultimate truth. The Buddha eye represents the full realization of enlightenment, the complete awakening to the true nature of reality. This realization is not just a momentary experience but a permanent shift in consciousness, where the practitioner sees the world as it truly is, beyond all delusion and suffering. The Buddha eye is the eye of perfect wisdom and perfect compassion. The culmination of the spiritual path. The nature of enlightenment. Enlightenment in Buddhism is often described as the realization of nirvana, the cessation of suffering and the end of the cycle of samsara. But enlightenment is also the realization of tathata, the true nature of all things, which is beyond all concepts and distinctions. The Buddha eye sees this ultimate truth, a vision that transcends all dualities and reveals the oneness of all existence. In the state of enlightenment, the practitioner is free from all attachments, delusions, and fears. They experience a profound sense of peace, joy, and equanimity, knowing that they are no longer bound by the illusions of the ordinary mind. This state of liberation is not separate from the world but is fully engaged with it, seeing the world as a manifestation of the ultimate truth. The role of the Buddha eye in the path to enlightenment. The Buddha eye is both the culmination of the path to enlightenment and the means by which it is realized. It represents the highest level of spiritual perception, where the practitioner sees the true nature of reality with perfect clarity and understanding. This vision is cultivated through the practice of the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, and the Six Perfections, all of which are guided by the wisdom and compassion of the Buddha eye. The Buddha eye also plays a crucial role in guiding others on the path to enlightenment. The enlightened being, seeing with the Buddha eye, is able to teach and inspire others, helping them to see the true nature of reality and to realize their own potential for awakening. This teaching is not just intellectual but is transmitted through the presence and example of the enlightened being, who embodies the wisdom and compassion of the Buddha eye. Living with the Buddha eye. Living with the Buddha eye means living in a state of continuous awareness of the ultimate truth. It means seeing the world with perfect clarity, understanding the impermanence and emptiness of all phenomena, and responding to each moment with wisdom and compassion. It is a state of freedom, where one is no longer bound by the illusions of the ordinary mind but sees the world as a manifestation of the ultimate truth. Living with the Buddha eye also means living in a state of continuous engagement with the world, using the vision of the Buddha eye to guide one's actions in ways that promote the well-being of all beings. It means seeing the suffering of others as one's own and acting with infinite compassion to alleviate that suffering. It is a life of service, dedicated to the liberation of all beings and the realization of the ultimate truth. Chapter 15, The Buddha Eye in Contemporary Practice. Applying the Buddha eye, bringing enlightened vision into daily life. The realization of the Buddha eye is not just a lofty spiritual goal but a practical guide for living in the world with wisdom, compassion, and clarity. While the full realization of the Buddha eye may be the culmination of the spiritual path, its vision can be integrated into daily life, guiding one's actions, thoughts, and relationships in ways that reflect the ultimate truth. Mindfulness and the Buddha eye. One of the most important practices for cultivating the Buddha eye in daily life is mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being fully present in each moment. Aware of one's thoughts, emotions, and actions, and seeing them with the clarity and understanding of the Buddha eye. With mindfulness, the practitioner can see beyond the surface of things, recognizing the impermanence and emptiness of all phenomena. This awareness helps to dissolve attachment, aversion, and delusion, allowing the practitioner to respond to each situation with wisdom and compassion. Mindfulness also helps to maintain a continuous connection with the ultimate truth, keeping the vision of the Buddha eye alive in every moment. Compassionate action. The Buddha eye also guides compassionate action in daily life. This involves seeing the suffering of others as one's own and responding with kindness, generosity, and support. Compassionate action can take many forms, from simple acts of kindness to more significant efforts to address social, environmental, and global issues. The Buddha eye helps the practitioner to see the deeper causes of suffering and to address them with skillful means. This might involve working for social justice, protecting the environment, or simply being a source of support and encouragement for those in need. Whatever form it takes, compassionate action is always guided by the vision of the Buddha eye, which sees the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of promoting the well-being of all. Ethical living. The Buddha eye also informs ethical living, guiding the practitioner in making choices that are aligned with the principles of wisdom and compassion. This involves living in a way that is non-harming, truthful, and respectful of others, and that contributes to the well-being of all beings. The Buddha eye helps the practitioner to see the consequences of their actions, both immediate and long-term, and to make choices that are beneficial for themselves and others. This ethical living is not just about following rules but about living in a way that reflects the ultimate truth of the Buddha eye, seeing all beings as interconnected and worthy of compassion and respect. The Buddha eye and modern challenges. A vision for the future. The Buddha eye offers a powerful vision for addressing the challenges of the modern world. As we face issues such as climate change, social inequality, conflict, and technological change, the principles of wisdom and compassion are more important than ever. The Buddha eye provides a guide for navigating these challenges in a way that promotes the well-being of all beings and contributes to the creation of a more just, compassionate, and sustainable world. Environmental stewardship. The Buddha eye sees the interconnectedness of all life and recognizes the importance of protecting the environment for the well-being of all beings. This vision inspires environmental stewardship, encouraging actions that promote sustainability, protect natural resources, and address the causes of climate change. Environmental stewardship guided by the Buddha eye involves not just technical solutions but a deep change in consciousness, where the practitioner sees the earth as a living, interconnected system that must be cared for with wisdom and compassion. This vision leads to more sustainable lifestyles, ethical consumption, and advocacy for policies that protect the environment and promote the well-being of all beings. Social justice. The Buddha I also guides efforts to promote social justice, recognizing the suffering caused by inequality, discrimination, and oppression. The vision of the Buddha I sees all beings as interconnected and deserving of equal respect and dignity. Inspiring actions that address the root causes of social injustice. Social justice guided by the Buddha I involves not just addressing the symptoms of injustice but working to transform the underlying systems and structures that perpetuate inequality. This might involve advocacy, education, and community organizing, all guided by the principles of wisdom and compassion. Technological change. The Buddha I also offers a vision for navigating the rapid technological changes that are transforming our world. While technology has the potential to improve our lives in many ways, it also poses significant ethical challenges, from privacy concerns to the impact of automation on employment. The Buddha I guides the ethical use of technology, ensuring that it is used in ways that promote the well-being of all beings and do not contribute to harm or suffering. This vision encourages the development of technologies that are aligned with the principles of wisdom and compassion, and that contribute to the creation of a more just and sustainable world. The practice of the Buddha I, cultivating enlightened vision. The realization of the Buddha I is a lifelong practice, involving the continuous cultivation of wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness. While the full realization of the Buddha I may be the goal of advanced practitioners, its vision can be integrated into daily life, guiding one's actions, thoughts, and relationships in ways that reflect the ultimate truth. Meditation. Meditation is one of the most important practices for cultivating the Buddha I. Through meditation, the practitioner develops the ability to see beyond the ordinary distinctions of self and other, form and emptiness, and to experience the true nature of reality. This practice helps to dissolve attachment, aversion, and delusion, allowing the practitioner to see the world with the clarity and understanding of the Buddha I. Study and reflection. The study of Buddhist teachings and the reflection on their meaning is also essential for cultivating the Buddha I. This involves not just intellectual study but deep contemplation of the teachings, allowing them to penetrate the heart and mind. This study and reflection help to deepen the understanding of the ultimate truth and to integrate it into daily life. Service to others. Service to others is another important practice for cultivating the Buddha I. By helping others and working to alleviate their suffering, the practitioner develops the qualities of compassion, generosity, and selflessness. This service is not just about doing good deeds but about living in a way that reflects the vision of the Buddha I, seeing all beings as interconnected and deserving of compassion and respect. Living with the Buddha I. Living with the Buddha I means living in a state of continuous awareness of the ultimate truth. It means seeing the world with perfect clarity, understanding the impermanence and emptiness of all phenomena, and responding to each moment with wisdom and compassion. It is a state of freedom, where one is no longer bound by the illusions of the ordinary mind but sees the world as a manifestation of the ultimate truth. Living with the Buddha I also means living in a state of continuous engagement with the world, using the vision of the Buddha I to guide one's actions in ways that promote the well-being of all beings. It means seeing the suffering of others as one's own and acting with infinite compassion to alleviate that suffering. It is a life of service, dedicated to the liberation of all beings and the realization of the ultimate truth. Conclusion. The journey towards enlightenment, the path of the 5 eyes, integrating wisdom and compassion. The journey through the 5 eyes of Buddhism, from the physical eye to the Buddha I, represents a profound evolution in perception, understanding, and action. Each eye offers a different way of seeing the world, culminating in a vision that is both wise and compassionate. The physical eye allows us to navigate the material world, but it is limited by its focus on the surface of things. The divine eye opens the door to spiritual perception, seeing beyond the physical to the subtle realities that underlie existence. The eye of wisdom sees the emptiness of all phenomena, recognizing the interconnectedness and interdependence of all life. The Dharma eye integrates this wisdom with compassion, inspiring actions that alleviate suffering and promote the well-being of all beings. Finally, the Buddha eye transcends duality, seeing the world as it truly is, an expression of the ultimate truth. The path of the five eyes is not just a journey of understanding but a journey of transformation. It involves not only seeing the world differently but also living in a way that reflects this deeper understanding. It is a path that leads to greater clarity, compassion, and freedom from suffering, culminating in the realization of enlightenment. Practical steps for awakening the five eyes. The journey through the five eyes is accessible to anyone who is committed to the path of spiritual development. While the ultimate realization of the Buddha eye may be the goal of advanced practitioners, the cultivation of each of the five eyes is a valuable practice in itself, offering insights and benefits at every stage of the journey. Cultivating the physical eye. Start by developing mindfulness and awareness of the physical world. Practice seeing things as they are, without the distortions of attachment, aversion, or delusion. Engage in practices such as mindful walking, eating, and breathing to cultivate a clear and focused mind. Opening the divine eye. Explore spiritual practices that allow you to see beyond the physical, such as meditation, visualization, and energy work. Cultivate an openness to the subtle dimensions of reality. And seek out teachings and experiences that expand your understanding of the spiritual world. Developing the eye of wisdom. Engage in practices that cultivate wisdom, such as studying the Dharma, reflecting on the nature of impermanence, suffering, and no-self, and practicing insight meditation. Focus on seeing the emptiness and interdependence of all phenomena, and apply this understanding to your daily life. Awakening the Dharma eye. Integrate wisdom with compassion by engaging in practices that promote the well-being of others. Practice generosity, ethical conduct, and compassionate action, and seek out opportunities to serve others. Cultivate a vision of the world that is informed by both wisdom and compassion. Realizing the Buddha eye. Continue to deepen your practice, seeking to transcend duality and realize the ultimate truth. Engage in advanced meditation practices, study the teachings of the Buddha, and seek guidance from qualified teachers. Recognize that the journey is ongoing and that each step along the path brings you closer to the realization of enlightenment. A vision for the future. The Dharma eye in the modern world. The vision of the Dharma eye offers a powerful guide for navigating the challenges of the modern world. As we face global issues such as climate change, social inequality, and conflict, the principles of wisdom and compassion are more important than ever. The Dharma eye provides a framework for addressing these challenges in a way that promotes the well-being of all beings and contributes to the creation of a more just, compassionate, and sustainable world. In the future, the integration of the Dharma eye into all aspects of life, personal, social, political, and environmental, can lead to profound positive change. By cultivating the vision of the Dharma eye, individuals and communities can work together to create a world that reflects the principles of interconnectedness, compassion, and wisdom. The journey towards enlightenment is not just a personal endeavor but a collective one. By awakening the five eyes and applying their vision to the world around us, we can contribute to the liberation of all beings and the realization of a more harmonious and enlightened world.